I know you gonna dig this.
Get funky with me.
Everybody, how you doing today? Here I am in Mooringsport, Louisiana. At least I think I'm in Louisiana because I was in Texas for a day and a half, but usually there's giant signs as you go into each state. Welcome to Louisiana, welcome to California, that sort of thing. But these country roads I've been driving for the past 5 hours to get here, I guess they just don't bother to put up one of those big signs. Cool little towns. It's the south. I love it down here. It's cloudy, it's overcast. Usually it's a little more sweltering. These graves are wild to see. I'm going to show you some of these graves afterwards. It's just crazy. This reminds me of the cemetery I went to. I can't remember the name of it, but where Blind Willie Johnson's buried down over in Texas. Kind of reminds me of that cemetery. A little overgrown, not as, but with the casket, the cement casket tops above ground. A lot of those. I'm here to do a video about Leadbelly. Now you may not know the name Leadbelly. Maybe you do. If you're a music fan, you probably do. You know who Kurt Cobain is. Kurt's one of my favorite artists of all time. Nirvana is one of my favorite bands. They did an album called MTV Unplugged in New York, and I listened to the shit out of that album and I loved it. Still do, just listened to it on the way down. And it ends with a song called Where Did You Sleep Last Night? There's a few covers on that album. You know, they do a David Bowie cover, Meat Puppets cover, think, yeah. And then Leadbelly at the end, Where Did You Sleep Last Night? Which is my favorite song on that album. And if you know the song I'm talking about, the Nirvana version, you love it. Kurt's howling. Kurt's playing that guitar. He's banging on it, and at the end he's screaming the lyrics. And it's a Leadbelly song. He influenced so many artists. House of the Rising Sun by the Animals, you know that song? That's a Leadbelly song. Now George Harrison, I'm gonna get the quote wrong somewhat probably, but he said, without Leadbelly there's no Lonnie Donegan. I'm not sure who Lonnie Donegan is. And without Lonnie Donegan there's no Beatles. Therefore, without Leadbelly there's no Beatles. George Harrison, the coolest Beatle? Maybe. I have no dog in this fight about the Beatles, so you can discuss that if you want. George Harrison's pretty cool. And so I discovered Leadbelly from Nirvana. And one thing I'm going to talk a lot about Leadbelly, but one thing, like, I watch a lot of music videos and listen to a lot of music on YouTube. And I love to read comments. And especially when it's a band or something that's become bigger, they're like, oh, I was there at the beginning. I was there first. Da da da. I'm always like, what does it matter? As long as you get into the music. As long as you get into good music. What does it matter at what point you got into it? If there's a kid that's 12 years old right now out there listening to Nirvana, it's amazing. If there's a kid out there that's 20 listening to Leadbelly because of Nirvana, it's amazing. If there's a 75-year-old listening to Leadbelly, they just heard him yesterday. That's amazing. Who cares when you first heard somebody? It's not a badge of honor. Musicians want to be successful. You should want your bands, your favorite singers to be successful. I've got lots of smaller groups and artists that I want to see them blow up and be big. Leadbelly unfortunately never did get to be huge in his lifetime. He's huge now. One of the most influential guitarist musicians of all time. Kurt Cobain put him on his his album, what's it called? Last Session Volume 1. It was on Kurt Cobain's in his notebooks. It's one of his 50 favorite albums. I mean, I think he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I believe he is. Traveling musician for years. He did over 500 songs, Leadbelly. Let's go take a look at his grave. I'm assuming it's this one right here in front of me that's with a gate around it. It's got to be. And we'll talk more about Leadbelly. Listen to good music. Listen to good music. Now it reads, Huddie Leadbelly Ledbetter. Huddie Ledbetter, 1889 to 1949. A Louisiana legend, has been duly elected to the Songwriters Hall of Fame, New York, 1972. The Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame, Nashville, Tennessee, 1980. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, New York, 1988. The Southern Songwriters Hall of Fame, Shreveport, Louisiana, 1989. Northwest Louisiana Hall of Fame, Bossier City, 1991. So something I noticed, I'm going to come back here in a moment. Something I noticed when I was walking by is another Ledbetter. Another Ledbetter here. Wow. This says, excuse me, Edmund Son Ledbetter, 1975, August 21st. My birthday is August 21st. That's interesting. This Amu Ledbetter, April 3rd, 1906. 1886. Edmund Son Ledbetter. It's 1886. And Leadbelly's 1889. I guess brothers. I'm going to assume. Let me tell you more about Leadbelly. I mean, he led quite an interesting life as a traveling musician, and primarily folk and then the blues, and quite a lot of turmoil in his life.
Huddie Ledbetter was born in 1889 in a country setting in northwest Louisiana. He attended school in Texas until around age 13, playing in a school band, and then worked the land with his father. He began learning how to play musical instruments as a youth and eventually focused on the guitar, performing as a teenager at local dances. At age 16, he headed out across the Deep South, settling in Shreveport, Louisiana for 2 years, where he supported himself as a musician. Around 1912, now living in Dallas with his new wife, Ledbetter met Blind Lemon Jefferson, an accomplished street musician, and the pair began playing together. It was at this point that Ledbetter concentrated on what would become his signature instrument, the 12-string guitar. In December 1917, Ledbetter was arrested and charged with murder and was found guilty. He picked up the name Leadbelly in prison. In early 1924, only a few years into a 20-year sentence, Leadbelly sang for Texas Governor Pat Neff a song in which he asked for a pardon. A year later, Neff pardoned Leadbelly, and he was a free man. Just 5 years later, Leadbelly was involved in a stabbing incident that led to assault with intent to murder charges and another prison sentence. Budget issues caused by the Great Depression allowed him to apply for early release, which he did, and the sitting governor approved the application in 1934. He subsequently ended up in New York and tried to establish himself as a professional musician. It worked to an extent, as his music was embraced by the left wing, and Leadbelly found himself rubbing elbows with the likes of Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger. Unfortunately, in March 1939, Leadbelly was arrested in New York for stabbing a man and served an 8-month sentence. After his release, Leadbelly appeared on 2 radio series, Folk Music of America and Back Where I Come From, and landed his own short weekly radio show. He also recorded an album called The Midnight Special and other Southern prison songs before moving to the West Coast a few years later. While in Los Angeles, he signed with Capitol Records and began some serious recording. Even as he achieved success, though, he developed health issues, and in 1949, he was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which is better known as Lou Gehrig's disease. He toured a little after the diagnosis, but the ALS caught up with him for good in December, and he died at age 61. He's best remembered for songs such as Goodnight Irene, Rock Island Line, The Midnight Special, Cotton Fields, and he was indeed inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988.
So I was walking around, I was so focused on the grave, I didn't notice it's a little gate. It does open, it's not locked if you want to go in and place a guitar pick, like somebody's done there. A quarter, a penny. He died penniless, broke. Sadly, that happened to a lot of artists back in around that era. And it still kind of happens with artists today. They leave behind not a lot, not as much as you would think. And sadly, many musicians, and it sucks to say it, but are worth more like dead than alive. And I'm talking about for the record company or family. Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson come to mind. Kurt Cobain. It's a real pilgrimage for me. I hope you're liking it. I came 5 hours out of my way just to visit his grave. I've always wanted to. I did know sort of what it looked like from memory. I watched a video years ago, and I think they still do it, they have like a jam session. I'm not sure where the people come from, but they have like a yearly jam session right here at Leadbelly's grave, which is pretty cool. You can see that on YouTube. People come out and play their music together right here, right around where I'm standing, which is really cool. So this was hard to get to. I mean, the roads are fine. It's not hard. It's just far, and really glad I did. And now I'm gonna show you around this cemetery because it's really different. It's beautiful in a way. It's sad in a way. It's colorful. Rest in peace, Leadbelly. And let's go for a little walk around now. Yeah, it's quite different. It's still a working cemetery, I can tell. I mean, well, besides the fact that there's flowers at almost every grave. There's some broken headstones. But I've seen some recent dates. So this is, Mooringsport. Have you heard of Mooringsport, Louisiana? I had not until I had to come here. It doesn't seem to be very big, and that's no disrespect to Mooringsport. It's a small place. So this must be the only cemetery, I would imagine, Shiloh Baptist Church Cemetery. Now I'm going to try to navigate through here. It's going to be difficult. I try to always keep into straight lines to the left, but if you visit cemeteries as often as I do, and if you have family members who are in a cemetery, if you've ever been to a cemetery, you know that at some point you have to walk across graves to get to another one. And try to keep off of them if you can, but sometimes that's the only way through. So I get asked that a lot, like, why do you walk on graves or something? I don't, and I try not to, but sometimes you can't help it. Here, right now, there's a wide open spaces. It's no problem. But lots of times you go to cemeteries, the graves are close together, back and front. And to navigate through, you're going to have to walk across some graves. It's not disrespectful. It's not considered disrespectful if you have to walk through a cemetery. And, you know, it's how you behave. It's how you act when you're at a cemetery. It's the reason why you're there. And I'm here to pay respect, not just to Leadbelly right over there, to everybody that's here. And that's why you're here with me, because you like to see this sort of thing and you want to pay your respects too, and I know you're respectful. Yeah, there's I'm gonna try not to show too many names, but some young lives here. Wow. Yeah, some young lives. 36 years old. I mean, there's one over there, there's 25. You can see just some simple headstones there, some that don't even have their, though right over here, what this would be is when the person is buried, the cemetery put that up with their name and an ID marker so they can find the grave afterwards when they're going to put the headstone in. Those have worn off. I don't know if there's a headstone coming here. Somebody's come out here and left flowers. Sadly, you just see that a lot. Right here again, right up along this row, there's... Oh, actually, they're... No, okay, I thought... Well, they are tin, but they're, you see, that's old. I thought the paper that was matted against it would have come off, but no, this is metal, and the name is written there, but it's dusty and it's old and it's hard to read. That one you can't read at all. I don't know if they'd be getting a headstone. I'd like to hope so. How about that? Looks like I said, these are just private graves, but they're interesting to look at. A lot of times when I'm done at a famous person's grave, or when I'm done filming wherever I am, I walk around the cemetery and I'll see the graves, and a lot of times I'll take a picture and look up their obituary afterwards, especially if they're young, because that just breaks my heart every time. I want to see why and what happened. And I could tell this person right here, 1987 to 2000, I'm reading it upside down, 2018, 18, 30, 31. It's not long enough. It's not long enough. I'm going to show this gentleman right here. There's a photo of him. In loving memory of my son Drew, beloved son, brother, and father. Andrew Duncan Jr., August 24th, 1987, December 24th, 2018. Passed away on Christmas Eve. That's young. And that's sad. And I hope you're resting in peace, my man. You know, somebody once wrote on my channel, comment, and it stuck with me for a long time. And then because it annoyed me, they said, this guy just is over dramatic, over emotional, and whatever they were saying, something like to that effect. And I wrote back. I don't really respond to any comments like that anymore. If I ever get any negatives, I'm just like, whatever. Don't even. Or just make fun of the person. Try to. You know, it's just words. But I was just like, no, dude. I wouldn't fake emotion in a place like this. And why? Like, for what? I don't have huge views. I don't have huge numbers. I'm not, you know, looking for whatever clout or attention by being like that. It gets, when you're here at places like this and you see them up close, whether they're a celebrity or whether they're not, it's just sad. sometimes. It's just heartbreaking. Same with true crime. You know, when I go to true crime locations, it gets to me. And it carries with me wherever I go afterwards. You know, just the thought of being somewhere where something, like, I do a lot of true crime on my channel, where something happened, where somebody suffered the worst thing imaginable. And it happened to them, and it happened to the place that's in front of me, or at the place in front of me. Or they're buried where I am, and knowing what they went through. So, until you kind of come out here and get the feeling for, you know, I know a lot of you watch my channel because you like graves, so I know you understand. It's not, I find it interesting and fascinating, not in a morbid way, but I find it very sad too. Yeah. I'm just kind of ranting and going on, but not ranting because it's not really a place to rant, but I just, it's okay. You're all here with me, walking around with me, seeing what's here. There's a few of these piles I've seen. I'm not quite sure what that is. I don't know if you saw that. I just saw that thing right there, which is beside the light. It's like a light reflector thing, and I thought it was a coyote. God. I might just cut out the sound from this and put music over this, because I'm just talking. Look at these tiny little headstones here. It looks like the older part was definitely here. And it kind of fans out. There's Leadbelly right in the middle. If you're going to come to Shiloh Baptist Church Cemetery in Mooringsport, Louisiana, you're going to park right there. There's the front of my car, all the way from Canada, down here in the bayou. Come right in. There's 2 entrances to the cemetery. You can't miss Leadbelly's grave, and you can't miss Andrew's grave, the gold one I showed you. And you can't miss some of the more colorful ones, and you shouldn't miss as many as you can. You should try to take a look around. Which is kind of metaphor for life, because it goes fast, and plenty of people here, it went way too fast for them. So take time, look around. Okay. I'm not sure exactly. I'm glad I came out here though to see Leadbelly's grave. Weird to Sleep Last Night, the Nirvana cover. It's my favorite Nirvana album, probably. It's my favorite song on that album. And it's because of Leadbelly. And his music, I was thinking about it a lot on the way here. I had a lot of time to listen to him, a lot of time to think. Think of driving through small southern towns, small country roads. His music fits that mood. You put it on, that's what the music's made for. Now think of yourself sitting alone, say in your apartment, in your basement, lights off, listening to his music. That's what his music's for. It fits that mood. Think of being up north, far north, in the summertime at night. Stars, it's all you can see is stars. You're playing Leadbelly. That's what it's made for. That's what his music's made for. His music is timeless, and it can be listened to anywhere, and that's what that music becomes. It becomes about that place and that time. I hope that makes sense. But every time I've put it on, I've listened to Leadbelly. Like, this is the perfect time to be listening to Leadbelly. Maybe the perfect time to listen to Leadbelly is all the time. Rest in peace to the Ledbetter family. Thanks for watching. Rest in peace, Leadbelly. Louisiana, we made it. Peace out. You notice that bright blue one there? That's our beloved father, Claude Jack Morris. That stands out. Some other colorful ones way back there. flowers on almost every grave in this small little town. It's beautiful to see. And these are some of the older ones right here at the entrance. Can't even read them. This one looks handwritten, like hand carved. Look at that. That's hand. Well, I mean, they all, but you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of messy writing.